what is your pleasure? Anyone who gets that reference is awesome. So let's talk about the Ouya. When the Ouya was first announced, the Kickstarter for it, I was excited. I was like, here, take my money. But I had this small doubt, and I thought, no, I'll hold my money. If this Kickstarter is successful and this thing gets funded and they actually release this system into sort of shops or online on Amazon, then I'll buy one. And as soon as Amazon, did pre-orders for it, I pre-ordered mine straight away. And this came the day of release date. And my brother Stu actually messaged me and said to me, hey, I've been hearing a lot about the Ouya. What can you tell me about it? And I said, hey, dude, come round. I've got one. And we were playing some old video games. I remembered for half an hour we were playing Streets of Rage, and we were having a good time. But I felt really bad because a lot of the people who backed this only got the development units, which are very similar to this, but they're see-through and are not quite as well built. And some of the people who backed it didn't even get their Ouyas, not until like way later. And it made me feel so bad that I got my Ouya long before the people who backed it did, which is so bad. I mean, the people who backed this should have come first. I would have rather have waited to get mine than get mine before the backers did. The hardware itself is really good, but I think the problem was they missed their opportunity. Now, what I mean by that is you have to think about it. When the Ouya was announced, the idea of sort of connecting like an Android tablet or a phone to your TV to play sort of Android titles on the big screen, it wasn't particularly commonplace. The ability was there, but it wasn't quite commonplace yet. And the idea to have something for like £100, you link to your TV and you can play Android games, you can run apps like emulators, you can run sort of programs like, I don't know, like VLC media players, things like that. It was pretty awesome to get all that for £100. But the problem was, by the time it came out, the idea of having an Android device connected to your TV was pretty common. I mean, my tablet's got a micro HDMI port. There are phones that have micro HDMI ports. And even long before the Ouya, you could link a computer to your TV and play games that way. So I think the Ouya had an opportunity, and I think they missed it. Not just that they missed the opportunity, but the way they marketed it didn't help the system either, because the impression I got was the Ouya was marketed as, we're the little company that can do, we're arrogant, we're bold, get out of our way. And they screwed up so many times, and instead of apologising or maybe readjusting their marketing strategy, they just kept making the same mistakes over and over again. And the biggest was the Free to Games Fund. Now, the Free to Games Fund was this thing that Ouya did to try to get more indie titles on the Ouya. Now, how it was, they put aside a load of money, and basically any indie title that was funded on Kickstarter that agreed to a period of exclusivity on the Ouya got their Kickstarter money doubled. And they would run this program until this money they put aside was gone. And that was a pretty good deal. I mean, for some people, getting your Kickstarter money doubled would allow you to expand your indie title, maybe market it, things like that. But the problem was there were some people that were counting on the Free to Games Fund to actually get the game funded. So they would basically create this Kickstarter, they would get it funded by their friends. Yeah, and then they'd be like, "Woo, we qualify for the Free to Games Fund." And I think at the time when people started to notice this was happening, there was about 4 or 5 high-profile Kickstarters that were trying to get into the Free to Games Fund. And one of them actually came clean. I can't remember what the game was called, but he said, "Look, we're going to come clean. We don't want people accusing us or having a go at us. We ran a Kickstarter purely to qualify for the Free to Games Fund. We funded the Kickstarter ourselves so that we could get some money from Ouya." And out of all these bogus Kickstarters, the one that was honest got rejected from the Free to Games Fund. Eventually, Ouya did change the rules so that basically you couldn't self-fund your own Kickstarter to get into the Free to Games Fund. But by that point, the damage was done, and all it showed was just lack of foresight, because I know this is going to sound arrogant, but when I heard about the 3D Games Fund, I thought to myself, this is a good idea, but in its current form, it is open to abuse. And it felt to me like the 3D Games Fund was Ouya's last attempt at really trying to make something of the Ouya. And then after that, I don't know, it just kept plodding along. And eventually they got into debt. They couldn't pay their debts and they defaulted. And on one of the debts, I think the clause was they had to do everything possible to rectify it. And obviously the only way to rectify it was to sell the Ouya company. Now, Ouya is owned by Razer, and as far as I know, all they're doing is using the Ouya storefront and its software. That's it. The employees were taken on by Razer. The CEO, I can't remember her name, but yep, she was let go, and that's pretty much the end of Ouya. I mean, you can still play this. I mean, even if the store went down tomorrow, I've still got a bunch of emulators on here, and if I want some additional software, I can always sideload it. As long as it's compatible with this version of Android, then I'm sorted. So to end the video, I think when they came up with the Ouya, there was a window opportunity for a device like this, and I think they missed the opportunity. But they still could have recovered if they'd marketed this thing properly, which they didn't. Which is kind of a shame, but you know what? I like my Ouya, and it will sit proudly next to my TV. So let me know what you think. I mean, did you have an Ouya? What was your thoughts? Did you pass on the Ouya? If so, why? And you know, if you were standing on the sidelines, seeing everything that happened, what was going through your head? So, thank you for watching, and live long and prosper.